Today, we're going to make ruined medieval row houses. This was inspired by an Eric's Hobby Workshop terrain video. This was one of the first videos that introduced me to Mordheim. I'm heavily inspired by some German and French architecture, so I have some references pulled up on the side. But before we get started, I'm currently working on this new Mordheim board, and I want it to be really densely packed with buildings. And a row house is like as densely packed as you can get. I'm spending some time to make sure that I can get it to fit into this space, and then using some offcuts from previous builds, I start building out the first level. I decided pretty quickly that I wanted a corridor in the middle for miniatures to walk through the building or under the building. So I quickly bricked up this whole building, and I did that with that punch tool you can see in the bottom right corner right now. Let me show you how I do it. Pressing this round spray bottle cap to do this arch, then cut it out. After that, I fully texture it with a rock, and then I go in and I punch in with the paintbrush handle the brick pattern. You want to make sure that you're only leaving one grout line between each brick. So as densely as you can, you want to punch all these bricks together. Occasionally, if there isn't enough space for the whole punch, I will kind of only do one edge or 2 or 3 edges of the punch at a time. That way the pattern is pretty consistent. This is by far the fastest method I've discovered of doing brickwork. Doing individual bricks and doing weekly videos just does not do very great. So finding a fast method that looks good was a real necessity for me. Here, take a closer look on how I do this. Hopefully that clears some stuff up for you. These white pieces are recast from the original Mordheim terrain set. Molding and casting has surprisingly been an easy new skill for me to add to my toolbox. I have a molding and casting video, which I might update soon because I've found better materials, but feel free to go check that out. You can search for it on the channel page. I wanted to make a bridge inspired by this art that I found in the Mordheim Living Rulebook. I made an STL and I 3D printed it, and we're gonna just build out this bridge real quick. I thought this opening kind of needed a walkway in front of it, and I wanted to connect these 2 different islands together for a while. I have this Warcry walkway that I think will be perfect for this, and we can add some more details to kind of change it up a bit. Like gluing in some of those skeletons and adding some extra details. This thing came together relatively quickly, and I think the skeletons underneath add a nice sense of Mordheim to the aesthetic.
I'm going to take a moment to highlight a product by FlexiSpot. I was sent this FlexiSpot E6 standing desk. Within the hour, I was able to fully assemble it. FlexiSpot has been really great because they gave me several weeks to try out the desk before I needed to create this app. I think really shows how much confidence they have in their product with this really strong and durable desk that can lift up to 355 pounds. It's been really great to edit on this thing late into the night when I'm getting tired of sitting. I can stand, and vice versa. This desk comes with a 15-year warranty, and currently Black Friday is going. So if you've been wanting a desk, now's the time to get one. I think one of the more important parts of getting a desk like this is knowing that you can get it to fit your space. I have a really small work area, and I have some existing furniture I wanted to match. They were able to get a color that matches my furniture and a small enough desk size to fit my area. So you've seen how great this FlexiSpot E6 desk is. It's super strong and stable, and it has a really nice sleek design. If you want one, head over to the Amazon store. The link is in the pinned comment in the description. Search for FlexiSpot Dual Motor Desk E6, and guess what? Black Friday is here too, so you can snag this incredible desk at a discount. So don't miss out. Thank you again, FlexiSpot. Let's get back to the video.
Now, getting back to this row house, I added a wall to kind of partition certain sections of this, and I want each side and different column of the building to look architecturally different. So I'm building them in different ways. I'm using foam core for the right side with a huge overhang, exclusively popsicle sticks and clothespins for the center column, and a completely brick section on the left. All the angles are kind of in contrast to each other, mostly because I didn't bother about making sure that these were even, but it does kind of tell a story of how this building has kind of progressed and been built over maybe several generations. To do the timber bracing on this building, I'm using popsicle sticks and clothespins. I'm trimming these clothespins to be different shapes so they don't really look like clothespins, and I'm doing the same thing with the popsicle sticks, using them in different dimensions and kind of let the material kind of fracture on its own, making those creative choices and kind of allowing it to make some problems that I need to solve later. I find letting the material dictate some creative choices allows me to kind of relax a bit. I think I'm gonna let you enjoy the assembly of this without me talking for a little bit. I've been doing this for a long time and I can kind of improvise this a lot. But if you're new to stuff like this, look at a lot of reference photos. It's by far the easiest way to kind of learn how this architectural style works. Kind of my go-to method is to frame out every edge that makes it more durable and then frame out every window. After that, you can kind of fill in the gaps however you'd like. But just keep in mind, rules are meant to be broken, so you can kind of just do whatever you want. I like to add gargoyle heads to my Mordheim buildings, and I make these from model kit parts or plastic animal heads from the dollar store, and then I just recast a bunch of them. For this build, I chose the pig heads for the left building, some skeleton gargoyles for the middle, and some squig heads for the right side, just to kind of distinguish them apart a bit more. For the shingles on this build, I use self-adhesive cork pattern scissors to cut them out. Literally takes no time. Making weekly videos, I kind of have to, by necessity, find fast ways to making things. We're gonna prime the model with some PVA glue, black paint, and brown paint to make a dark brown hard coat. While I'm getting ready to prime this, I'm going to shout out my Patreon. If you go over there and click the link in the description, you're going to get that bridge skeleton STL for free. I do things a little backwards over there. All my stuff over there is completely free, except for the stuff that I'm kind of in development on. Those go to my Patreon members. And if you find value in that stuff and in these weekly videos, you can support the channel for $2 a month and get access to that. Thank you so much to my patrons. Having dedicated hobby funds to make these weekly videos is super helpful. Both my wife's car and my car both died this week, so yeah, that would have really eaten up the funds for upcoming weeks, but luckily Patreon has my back and I really appreciate all you patrons. You have any comments about anything in this video and I'm happy to answer every single one of them. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe because that really helps out the channel. And make sure you go check out the backlog because there's a bunch of videos I'm really proud of. Lately, I've been kind of switching the tones of wood and stone. So I like to use like a really grayish brown for my wood to kind of really make it look like it's dried out. I added a bit more brown for the building on the right side just to kind of make it feel like it was built at a different time than the center one. I like color for my stone, kind of hitting more of a brown end than a gray, because I think it just adds a bit more dimension and adds it's a little lighter, so it takes washes a little differently than the gray. It's just kind of something I've been experimenting lately with, and the more reference photos I've been looking at, the more I've been seeing that trend. I mixed up a cream color for all the plaster. It takes some practice to get it into all the crevices and not get it on the wood. Honestly, it's not a huge deal if it gets on the wood. Even with this cheap paint, if you're fast enough, you can kind of just wipe it off with your finger before it dries. After that, I like to have all my windows and my gargoyles painted like in an oxidized brass color. Think Statue of Liberty. I like the doorways and the windows to be really bright green, just because it allows the player visually see it. This miniature can see out of it. Across the board, there's a lot going on. So having that consistent feature kind of unifies the board a bit and makes the play experience a little easier. Thank you so much for getting this far into the video. Make sure if you like the video, you like it and subscribe. Check out the Patreon for that free STL. Check out FlexiSpot if you're interested in that desk. Thank you so much for following along. I work really hard on all this stuff. I work full time, I'm a dad, and somehow I managed to make weekly content. So your support goes a long way, whether it's financial or just you watching along. So thank you so much. All right, have a good one.